Hello everybody, welcome to Awesome Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already and drop a like on this video. It takes 1 second and makes a massive difference in how the video performs in the YouTube algorithm. Also, go check out my podcast if you have not already. That is going to be the top link in the description and the pinned comment if Rudy remembers to do it. But let's talk about last night's games. First, I want to talk about Miami versus New York just because, as I've alluded to multiple times, it's just not a series that I've been particularly interested in. No offense to either fan base, but they generally play a style of basketball that I don't enjoy watching as much. I will say, in the case of Miami, though, I have started to appreciate them a little bit more given just how much of a clear chess match there is happening with Eric Spoelstra, that Tom Thibodeau is very much losing. There was some post on Twitter the other day about like who's the best coach left in the playoffs, and as far as I'm concerned, that's not even a question. It is Eric Spoelstra, and he's probably been the best coach in the league since Greg Popovich kind of started to fade out of relevance. So yeah, shout out to Eric Spoelstra for being amazing. But frankly, this game was probably a little bit more of the same of what we've been getting for a majority of this series. I expected this to be a 5 to 6 game series. Miami is now up 3-1. And I'm not exactly surprised by that. So more likely than not, we're going to be seeing Miami in the conference finals. As for this game itself, Julius Randle is someone I want to talk about. Once again, getting benched for the fourth quarter, or not for all of it, but a good stretch of it. Not the whole quarter like there was the last time, but like the last 4 minutes of this game he wasn't in. He's just not a legitimate star player, as far as I'm concerned. I just simply can't consider you to be in that tier when it is very obviously for the betterment of your team at times to take him off of the floor. It's not Tom Thibodeau making a bad coaching decision. It was actively the right decision, and unfortunately the right decision is your star player, quote unquote, not playing. The main reason being his scoring was like the only thing that he was doing whatsoever, which is not necessarily new for Julius Randle, but in this case he had a lot of turnovers, wasn't really distributing the ball all that well in general, and man, one of the worst defensive performances I've seen him have when he's already not a very strong defender. So giving up a lot of points on the other end and scoring 20 on good efficiency for once, which is nice for him, but ultimately normally he's not doing that. I just don't believe in Julius Randle, man. And I never will unless he proves me wrong, and thus far he has not. He's been better than he was in that Hawks series in round 1 2 years ago, but that was probably the lowest possible bar anyone could ever cross. So with that said, really all I had to say about this one, I guess Caleb Martin had a really cool dunk. I remember that much, but Bam Adebayo also seemed more aggressive in this one, which I appreciate. He has a tendency to be, for lack of a better term, kind of a bitch sometimes. Like, you're really strong and you're really athletic. Take advantage of it. Stop taking these 5-foot jump shots all the time. But he didn't do that in this game too much, which I appreciated. But that said, let's talk about the game everyone wants to talk about, which was Warriors versus Lakers. This series might be ending sooner than we thought, or Steph Curry could do the most hilarious thing ever and just completely go off for the next 3 games and mount a 3-1 comeback. I think the irony of that would be very significant. In fact, I'm going to be posting a main channel video soon after this one talking about that series at large and what the future of it looks like. Would really appreciate it if you went and checked that out when it goes up. As for this game as a whole, it looked like the Warriors had control of it for a good bit. In fact, I believe they had a 7-point lead going into the fourth quarter. And then, of course, the Lonnie Walker show started. He scores 9 straight points basically immediately, and then got some more points later down the stretch that were very pivotal. But he went 4 for 4 in 6 possessions or something like that, including like a tough pull-up. He had another tough pull-up late. Lonnie Walker is someone who I have understood to be a pretty good basketball player. When the Lakers were in their earlier stage of the season, he was one of their very, very few bright spots. And the fact that he got cut entirely out of the rotation was just kind of due to unfortunate circumstance. Obviously, Austin Reeves kind of started to break out, and then you had Rui Hachimura off of the bench, so that kind of halted any the scoring bench guy, which is what Lonnie would be in theory. But yeah, he's probably going to be a prominent part of the rotation from here on. And frankly, the guy whose minutes it seemed like he's gonna be getting is Jared Vanderbilt, because as good as AD and Vando are defensively when they play together, they have still managed to be a quite excellent defense without Vando, and they can put guys out there like Rui, who is actually going to hit his open three-pointers and be able to create offense for himself and finish in the paint. I love Vando. He's probably one of my favorite players in the entire game, but his offensive struggles are so significant that I believe he played 16 minutes last game and he played 11 today. So ultimately, that's not very good. Another thing I haven't really brought attention to in this series is how LeBron James has changed his play style. He's ironically on both ends of the floor kind of doing a Draymond-esque thing where offensively he's pretty much a screen setter who rolls to the basket or pops and can play make. Obviously, he's far more aggressive scoring-wise off of these screens than Draymond would ever be, even at his absolute peak. But the idea is there. If you're not going to bring help on him on the roll, then he's probably going to finish through whoever you put in front of him, unless it's a really big guy. Something about that sentence sounded wrong. And his jump shot's not very good, but he does hit them at timely moments, it seems. He made a few plays out of these pick and rolls, a couple of kicks to the corner and stuff like that. It's very interesting to see. LeBron, who dribbles the hell out of the ball, really hasn't been a thing much at all in this series. There's been a lot of D'Lo, there's been a lot of Dennis Schroeder, even Austin Reeves at times, and I mean, it's worked for them, so I see no reason to change it. And it seems like the direction that LeBron is going to go in as he gets older, because he's very clearly not the same player. So this role makes sense. And then, as I was saying, on the other side of the floor, this is also kind of a Draymond-esque role, where ironically, by defending Draymond, he's kind of free roaming and just doing what he wants to bring help and all that. Obviously, he's not anywhere near the level of defender that Draymond is, but like that free safety type of role, freelance, just not really worrying about one guy and bringing help where you can type of thing, that's something that Draymond always did notoriously. To speak for the Golden State Warriors, Stephen Curry had a 30-point triple-double, but my God, his efficiency was bad. However, I can't really knock him for this, because his teammates did not show up to play whatsoever. Klay Thompson with an absolute stinker. I can't remember a single thing that Andrew Wiggins did in this game. Draymond didn't have 11 points like he did like a game or two ago, which for Draymond is like having a 30-piece. Just nothing. Jordan Poole played 10 minutes in this one. I guess Steve Kerr didn't want to live or die by Jordan Poole. He wanted to go with what would hopefully be more reliable. But the thing about that is, as I've noticed with this Warriors roster, especially this year, there's a lot of players who are not reliable or consistent. Klay Thompson's not reliable and consistent. Andrew Wiggins hasn't been, which, to be fair, he missed a large chunk of this last season due to a personal issue and jumped right into the NBA playoffs. But he was also a lot better in round one versus Sacramento than he has been against LA. Granted, to be fair, LA is a lot better of a defense, but overall, you get my point. Not to mention, Andrew Wiggins has had some mismatch matchups a good amount, especially earlier on in the series. I mentioned earlier on how like it was either D'Lo or Austin Reeves that was checking him, and like he should be able to take advantage of that and get a few buckets out of it, but just didn't really happen. Draymond being a zero offensively is not really a big thing. And then again, like, if you're looking for scoring outside of Steph, you kind of need Jordan Poole to do that. And at times in last year's playoff run, he absolutely did that. But he has been a factor for a grand total of one game that the Warriors have played so far out of now 11 of them. And that's not good. So for the Golden State Warriors, I don't see them mounting this comeback. Again, as I said, it would be hilarious if they did, but I just don't see it happening. Yeah, but I have no idea what I'm going to title this video, but there's your summary. That's it. Shout out to Rudy. Oh, I didn't even talk about the disastrous last minute of this game for the Warriors. I should have mentioned that. Yeah, man, Stephen Curry, not his best showing. He was pretty good throughout the whole game despite shooting poorly because, again, no one else was shooting the damn ball. But, yeesh. Not good. Someone should have called a timeout, as I'm pretty sure everybody's been saying. That would be my guess. But it is what it is. But now that's it. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, and goodbye.